No better place, man. No better place. Hey, for anyone that's wondering, by the way, I did arrive at Bulk City. However, the stay was very short-lived. Although it's not all being televised, I am cutting. I started the cut May 1st. Got up to about 245 pounds. So if you guys want to see more of that on my channel, go ahead and drop a comment down below. But one thing I had on my heart today that I really wanted to speak on is today in the culture in the West, in America at least, is I see a lot of people that their God is their emotions. And I think a lot of this, there's many reasons for it. People put their emotions above logic, men and women, everybody does it. The issue with this is that it can lead to a devastating path. If your emotions are your God above anything else in life, what's gonna end up happening, because I've gone down this road, is you're gonna end up throwing logic out the window when making decisions, and you're gonna follow your heart, which is what society will tell you. Follow your heart, do what you feel. Like a lot of music on the radio is like, can't stop the feeling, stuff like that. It really enables this kind of way of thinking of, well, I feel this way about this. I need to follow my feelings. I need to do what is best for my emotions, and I need to disregard any logic where let's not worry about any potential repercussions of these actions. Let's just follow the feelings we get, and let's just do what feels good because that's what our God is. And it's not that conscious, right? It's not, people aren't doing these things consciously. I definitely wasn't. I wasn't going around saying, oh, emotion is my God. That's quite the issue, actually, is that people don't realize what they're doing. They don't realize that they're actually putting their emotions above logic. They're putting their emotions above, their relationships with other people in life. I'm going to go, for instance, I don't know, I'm going to go cheat on every partner that I have because it feels good for me. And it's me. It's a me thing. It's a very selfish mentality, actually, when you really dive into it. Now, see, when you have God as number one, it allows you to really kind of hone in on a moral value system as opposed to just how you feel about things, right? It allows you to say, okay, now I have a desire to do X, Y, Z, but maybe that's not actually what's best in this situation. Or for instance, I'm very angry at this person and I'm really impatient right now, but I can't lash out on them. I can't throw a temper fit. I need to keep my temperament together. I need to stay composed here. Listen, I've gone down the path of minor drug usage. I used vape. I vaped a lot, and even vaping is something that's like I want this feeling, this quick rush right now. Now I put it down. 10 seconds later, I want it again. It's like you feel like you want something and you get it instantly. Something that contributes to this as well is, this short form content that no one has attention span anymore. This TikTok, I want to be entertained now. I want to always be entertained by something, and if I'm not, it's just not enough, which is very detrimental. But this is kind of what humans do. If you guys haven't noticed, that's just, we just want everything to be the most optimal, which ends up being to our detriment down the road. AI, but who's watching anything about that, right? But now, I'm not saying to completely disregard your feelings all the time and just live in a state of melancholy. Enjoy yourself, enjoy life, enjoy things that God's put here for us, right? Like, enjoy sex in the right confines. Don't make it your God, is all I'm saying. I used to use this place as my God, the gym, because it's just a feeling, man. I've always had a very intense personality where when I'm doing something, I need to do it to the fullest extent. And it's always more and more and more. That's very much the same reason why I went down the path of drugs for a short period of time. Because I just always wanted this feeling of like, I wanted this rush in the gym. You got to pump and you feel great. You're off the pre-workout. The endorphins are flowing. The music's blasting. You just feel like you're, I'm not going to go and step on toes here, but you feel really good. And at a certain point, when your self-worth is just derived from how you look or anything else in life that's not God, or at least the Bible, what the Bible says your self-worth should be, it's like if you don't have that thing that is going to end up withering away eventually anyway, right? My body's not always going to be here. It's going to turn to moth and rust, and my body's just going to decompose. If my entire self-worth is what's in the bank, eventually that's not going to matter. Eventually, like all these material things, which is very common in this capitalistic society, is you are based, especially as a man, your value on how much money you have, what car you drive, what you look like physically, things like this. And these things are all temporary. It's like society has you think all these things are important. Like, and don't get me wrong, money's important. You need a car. But they almost idolize these things. It's idolatry to a certain extent, where it's like all over the radio, a lot of media, TV shows, propaganda, if you want to call it that, is saying, listen, I have all this money, I'm very successful. Look at me on stage in front of hundreds of thousands of people. I am what is the epitome of a number one man. And I have great money. I have all kinds of cars. I have all kinds of women. It's a very be like me sort of thing. It's a very I'm a god sort of thing. It's idolatry 100%. And these things are so normalized for the entirety of our lives, right? You grow up, especially if you're growing up in 2024, if you're under the age of 10 years old, God bless you guys, because even me growing up was just like seeing all these stars and these celebrities and looking up to them, because it's just a very normal thing to do, right? It's like, oh, I'm a person, this person is also a person, and they appear to be very successful, so I want to be like them one day. And they have these things, they do these drugs. Okay, so I guess that's not such a bad thing if I do it. It's like these little, they almost seem like little minute things that you notice about these people that seem like it's very harmless, especially when you're younger and you're seeing these people, right? But then you get older and you're like, dude, just because Drake is snorting coke or whatever, I'm not saying he does that, but just because he whatever rapper you want to talk about is drinking all the time, or that doesn't mean that I should do it. It doesn't mean it's a good idea because they're doing it. So enough rambling about that. That's why it's very important, man. If you have God number one, not only are you you're by proxy not going to use your emotions as a compass through life. You're going to look to God, look to the cross, look to the Bible for what should I do here? Instead of looking inward to yourself and using yourself and your feelings as your God, and thinking, how do I feel about this? Where should I go based off my feelings? You're going to look to God as your compass. And the beautiful thing about this is, listen, worst case scenario, right? Let's hypothetically say that God's not real. If you have your faith fully in God and you use him as your compass through life, well, you're going to end up, at least you're going to be a good person. At least you're not going to go through life making bad decisions because you think your emotions are your God, and because you think you yourself can make all the decisions. At least you have your faith in something higher, and you're abiding by these rules that are overall amazing for society. In fact, I think in America today, if everybody was Christian, I think we would be in a much better spot than we are now, because, we can break it down. There wouldn't be all this idolatry all over the place. So that's automatically, just imagine all the bad influences that are away because of this. You wouldn't have all this drinking, you wouldn't have sexy red twerking all over the place, and you wouldn't have all this promiscuity. You would have men being, strong once again. And most men, you would have them being more masculine. You would have them chasing goals instead of just being on porn, locked in their room all day, chasing their feelings. So when you look at it from that perspective, it's almost like, well, I might as well put my faith in God. But I'm not, don't take my word for it. When I'm saying this is not a message to get people to follow God. I'm just asking you guys to look inward and think, maybe I do kind of think about my emotions too much and let that dictate my decisions in life. Maybe I should reconsider these things, okay? And then as far as Christ goes and Christianity goes, again, I'm going to keep saying it. Read the Gospels, read the Bible. Don't take my word for it. Read the Gospels, because I'll tell you this, if what Jesus says is true, he's either right or wrong, right? The Bible is either true or it's not. It's not no in between. It's not some of it's true, some of it's not. Jesus either lived and died and then was resurrected, or it didn't happen. So I would urge you to read the Bible and decide for yourself, is this something that I should put my faith in? I would say yes, okay? But I'm not saying yes off of a whim because I'm believing like this. I'm saying yes because I've read the Gospels and I've decided, well, based off of this information, this seems incredibly credible. It's historical narrative. And listen, I'm not saying any of this is easy, okay? It's not easy to not listen to your feelings, especially when your entire life you've been doing it. That's what I was doing, man. And this is what makes a lot of men feminine now, is that they just go off their feelings. What happens when men act on feelings? Murder, R-word, bad things for society. It's not good to act on feelings. Now, it's not really good. Obviously, I don't want to make this a gendered argument or anything like that, but no man or woman should just be irrationally acting on feelings. And we're getting closer and closer to that as the years go on. If you see these rallies they're having in streets, I'm not going to say any names or communities in general, things get very carried away, and it's a very reactive environment. There's a lot of people that are very reactive nowadays that are walking around, and it's all because their feelings are number one. And there's a lot of things and movements that are very protective of feelings and saying things like, this isn't right because it makes me feel bad. So in order to not feel bad, I'm going to kind of put this protective garment around me and say, no, these things that make me feel bad, even though they might be true, are wrong and they need to be exiled because my feelings are more important. Putting feelings number one leads to nowhere good, man. And in society, especially as a man, it's very important to be honest with yourself, and you need to feel bad feelings sometimes, okay? Sometimes as a man, you need to look in the mirror objectively to be realistic with yourself and say, man, this is just not a good place that I'm in, whatever it might be. This is not ideal at all. And if we can't be honest with ourselves at an emotional level, and if we're always going around protecting ourselves from our negative feelings, how can, as men, I'll say, how can we go anywhere? How can we progress at all in life? I mean, if you're 20 years old and you're broke and maybe you're on your own, whatever, it's just an example. If you're protective of your feelings, you're going to say, oh, no, this is fine. I mean, things could be worse. I mean, it's not that bad. You know, I mean, because looking inward and looking into the mirror and really being honest with yourself, it's going to be hard to do because you're in a predicament. And I've ran from my feelings for a couple of years, man. Like, it's not easy at all. It's not easy. It's not easy to realize that you've been lied to for some years now. And it's sad because in society in America, we're lied to a lot, man. And it's to our detriment a lot of the time. And this is not tinfoil hat conspiracy talk. There's just so much wrong with this country, man. And it's sad. And I don't even want to come off as like that guy. But, dude, I mean, if you look around in public, man, look how disconnected we are. Like, I was going to make this into a second video, but look how disconnected we are, man. I remember, like, 2017 time frame, I think I just saw a wild fox walking on the road. That's somebody walking their dog. Saw the dog first, thought it was a wild fox. Anyway, I noticed around, like, 2019 time frame, I remember walking around and just thinking, like, being in rooms, like, that are normally social, right? Like, I don't know, maybe a gym, for instance, I guess, because that's the only place that I ever go. Just being in there and being like, I feel like there's some tension in here right now. It's like we should be like having a conversation or something, but nobody's just having a conversation, so we're just sitting here awkwardly in silence. And there was around that time where I really kind of started questioning, like, this is a bit odd that we just don't talk anymore. It could be attention span things from short form content on the phone, so where we're just not entertained with normal conversation anymore. And listen, I'm guilty of this. I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal, but I think a big thing about it is, like, I think a lot of people are just, they're just dead. They're dead spiritually. And again, this was me, dude. This was me. And when you're dead spiritually, what you do, instead of looking to God and reviving your spirit with that God, with God, and filling that God-shaped void that you have with God, what you do is you look to other things in the world to fill that hole. I've talked about this before. You'll take some drugs for a while to feel temporarily like you're spiritually alive, like, oh, this is it, right? Or to feel at peace or something like that, right? Because that's what God really does for you when you put your faith in Him fully and you know that God is number one and He has your back no matter what. You kind of have this peace about you, right? And so when you don't have God number one and you're looking for it in drugs, yes, you get that temporary peace, but it's all going to end up in the dead-end road, man, because you're either going to become a drug addict or you're going to end up in jail, right? And it's just always that, it's always to a detriment, dude. Even if you take drugs and you can kind of get away with it and not become an addict, where are you going in life then? It could get you through a few years, man, but eventually, even if you put your happiness into another person, you put your entire self-worth on a relationship or having a family. I mean, I hate to break it to you, man, but sometimes things don't work out in relationships, even if you're married. Divorces happen. So if your entire self-worth is being that half in the relationship, you're asking for a problem. I don't want to sound rude right now, but I don't care what kind of relationship it is or how sure of it you think, and I hope everybody's relationships are great. I'm just telling you, be in that relationship happily, but don't make it your God, man. Don't make it your number one. If you make God number one, everything will follow underneath it, right? Because if God's number one, you're going to treat your woman kindly with respect, like a queen, okay? And if God's her number one, well, you're gonna get equal treatment, my friend. So if you're spiritually dead, man, you'll look to it in drugs, temporary things. Maybe you make these other hobbies your God and put your self-worth in those, which are great temporarily. But then eventually, maybe it just doesn't feel the same anymore at a certain point, or things go wrong years down the road. You fall out of that, maybe you lose your love, whatever. And now you're at square one again. Well, I don't know what to do now because my self-worth I put into this job I had for years, and I got laid off, or things didn't go well, whatever. I can't work that job anymore. And now it's like, what do I do? And man, it's tough, man, because there's just not enough people talking about this. I'm just so confident. Like, I'm so confident that what I'm saying is true, but I don't have enough knowledge yet to really, really back it up. Like I need to get better at reading scripture. I honestly need to read the Bible more. I need to pray more. I need to do all these things more. But it's not about being perfect. It's about at least having your heart in the right spot, at least opening your mind and considering maybe God is the truth, and then actually taking steps to look into it. That's really the important thing, I think. I think there's too many people that aren't even willing to do that. And I think people aren't willing to do that because if God's real, then everything they've been doing has been wrong, which is hard enough in and of itself to accept. But then they actually have to make a change, which is going to be uncomfortable. And so they automatically will just say, God's not real. Oh, yeah. And that's where you see like the comments on like videos online of like, oh, yeah, God's real, XYZ. Well, I believe in evolution and stuff like that. It's just like people don't even look into it. They just reject. Can't be real. No, it can't be. Look, none of my friends think it's real anyway, so like it's really easy. We can just kind of push it away and say, nah, we'll ignore it. We'll get to that later. Or not at all. Oh, whatever. Anyway, man, I don't even know what this video is going to be titled because it's just a 21-minute ramble. So thanks for watching, man. I know I got a lot of new subscribers here, so if you like the video, leave a like. Let me know what you guys want to see. And I'm going to keep on reading the Bible and keep spiritually growing so I can give you guys better content and really kind of dive in a little bit more and be more biblically sound, if you will. Again, let me know if you want to see more gym content. And with all that being said, man, let's start a discussion in the comments. If I said something that pissed you off, let me know. If I said something you agree with, let me know. And we'll see you in the next one, man. Take care.